You can have the first question. What do you do if they're not working?
Um, I don't think there's a mechanics checklist, but I do think that you can kind of. We do a lot of workshopping of stuff in strategic sorcery. We have a big group, like 500 and some odd people, and obviously I put, like, on the blog there are testimonials of this worked and it was great, and but in the group I really encourage people to be like, what didn't work, and let's talk about it, and why. So I mean, there are all kinds of things where people are interpreting their divinations according to their own biases. Uh, I forget the name of the bias now. I can't even remember. But so are you trying to affect something that is simply as improbable as making it snow in July?
Yeah.
Is this, in Andrew Chumley's terms, is that where the point of transmutation lies, or not? Because it might not be. That might just be something that you are not going to be able, your influence on probability is there. But if it was 1 in 18 million and you've cut that in half, it's still 1 in 9 million. So it's not very likely, to happen.
So I think,
So,
like,
so this is where the optionality comes back in.
yeah.
Like, create other types of options to go about things in the same way. What powers are you using? If people are calling on planetary powers that are, if you're into astrology, they're bad in their horoscope or ill-dignified or retrograded or whatever, well, there's more than one way to skill a cat. To skin a cat. There is no planet that cannot be applied to almost any purpose. If you look at them in different ways. I know we had our thing about Jupiter, so I don't want to get into that. But
but what you were saying, like, if they're not working, it's do more of it. Like, because some of them won't work. Like this, especially this is why I like sigils. If it's not working, do more of them.
Hit it from a different angle.
But
Hit it from
even just at volume, because one of the things that I think, especially if people are new, and it's kind of like, I'll do these 5, and I'll see what happens. I'm like, no, dummy, do 100. Like, literally do sigils. I've used examples before: getting seats on the bus, encountering celebrities. But there are other, like, there are literally anything you can, in sigil for. Finding misshapen vegetables that look like penises and vaginas, because that's always hilarious. Like, literally just get a whole bunch of these things that make life interesting and weird, and just keep throwing them at it. Because two things happen: either you quote unquote get better at it, or your understanding of how magic and reality work will start kicking over in the unconscious. If it doesn't work, move on, do other ones. I mean, there is potentially and in fact, it's quite likely that the target is misaligned. I still get people saying, "I read your book, I loved it. I did a sigil to get my girlfriend back, and she didn't come back." Right. The Chaos Protocols. You read? Is that the book you read? So there's definitely there's a goal component of it there. But at the moment, I just do more. Like, they don't cost anything. You're not going to run out. Again, this is why I think it's such a really good lab to be able to do multiple sigils in this sort of environment. They cost nothing. Do more of them. If it didn't work, fine.
And try different styles.
Sure.
There's of course the combine English letters into a sigil, but there are ways that you can evoke a feeling. You can even enchant. You can do a folk magic spell or a candle spell, and feel for that pattern that's evoked and translate that into a sigil. One of the reasons that for financial sorcery, the powers that be were like, yeah, what I want to transmit, you need an artist for. So literally, I had Matt Brownlee come over, and I did a conjuration in the living room, and he's there doing all the lightning glyphs. And they're literally the pattern of that spell transmitted from 5D into 2D,
Hmm.
according to his artistic talent. But you don't need to, you can do it that way. You can um, talk to spirits and say, can you affect things through a seal that appears to me, and if not, well, will you work through this seal? And so there are all kinds of different ways. There's so much attention paid to the multiple letter sigil, and I'm
There
looking at
are.
the sigils behind you, and they don't look like simple multi-letter combos.
Oh, some probably are. I didn't even know they were visible. They've been there for ages. This is the other thing. I literally have no idea what they're for. So that might, like, eventually you forget. Yeah, they're in shot. Fair enough. Yes and no on the letter thing. If like you're correct that you can try these different things, but if specifically your sigils aren't working, and if you're doing sigils that look like that, um, do more of them. That is genuinely the solve. Like, because if they don't work, there's a risk in what you just said. You're correct that any of these things are valid, but why this has been such a very useful system to me is that it is essentially the closest thing we're going to get to laboratory conditions, which is do more of them. And if you stick with that, you will eventually find where the leak is. And the best thing to do is to, like, because you will forget that you insigiled to, like, for random things, like, because no one thinks, I mean, apparently I think about it a lot, but no one thinks about penis and vagina shaped vegetables and fruit that often, right? And so when you
Right.
encounter it, one, you'll be like, oh, that looks like a wang. Wait a minute. And that kind of future self entanglement, if you do a whole bunch of them, one, you'll see that it works, and two, the next time you come around to do something that maybe has more importance for you, you're going to be a little bit better at it. That's what I like about sigils, that they can scale. Yeah, it's like a lab or a gym, not that I'd know. Uh, you have a space where it's interoperable with, like, in theory, you can be an atheist, but it kind of plugs into any system because you can activate them or enchant them, which is the next question, without calling on something. I mean, I do. I've done the
Oh
whole
yeah.
goddamn range. You do end up, and this is a very Pete Carroll thing. You do need to find a, like, magician or spell casting god form or saint or what have you, or being that you have a particular affinity with, and that would be a recommendation. So I do that. Like, mine's St. Cyprian. We've had this discussion, but that's the most common one. When depending on different sort of saint days and so on, I've tried different things, but I think that's another piece that people will need they need a spell casting buddy in a non physical sense, and for me that one's worked quite well. But